Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family. My name is Robert. This is 7 Up and At It here on the I Said It show. Now, what is 7 Up and At It? It is a daily devotional where we'll focus on a particular verse of the Bible, and we'll look at verses that precede it, verses that come after it. We'll also look at different translations of that word. And I do that so that I can get a full context of what the word is trying to tell us. Now, I video these because I feel we're all vessels to be used by God, and whatever God puts into us, He expects us to pour it back out to others, so people can learn from what we've learned, take it with them in their daily walk, and have a closer walk with God. And it's called 7 Up and At It as a thank you to my dad here on earth, who would come and wake me up most mornings when I was a kid. And it was 3 knocks on the door, and he would open the door and he said, "It's 7 up and at it." Now, my Father in heaven does the same thing, but I'm up at 6 taking care of the homestead before I have my behind in the seat at 7 o'clock to learn from God. Now, real quick, a lot of people ask why I repeat that every morning. I'll say a lot. I had a few, okay, who sent me a message asking me why. It's the same thing. It's repetitive. I do that because not everybody is a constant viewer. We have people who come in and watch it for the first time. So I want them to understand what these videos are about. And so that's why I repeat it every morning. And I do apologize. And it's a couple of minutes in the beginning, and you could probably fast forward through it and pass that by if that's what you so choose to do. I understand. Um, but that's why I do it. So without any further ado, let's get into the word. Um, and how we find the verse is based off of whatever today's date is. So today is August 10th. So we're going to look at chapter 8, verse 10. And so today I found a verse in Nehemiah. So it's Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10. And this is going to be out of the New Living Translation. And if you haven't picked up by now, this is one of my favorite translations. So I use it a lot. So here goes. And Nehemiah continued, "Go and celebrate with a feast of rich foods and sweet drinks, and share gifts of food with people who have nothing prepared. This is a sacred day before our Lord. Don't be dejected, don't be sad, for the joy of the Lord is your strength." Now, currently on the East Coast, and I'm not sure about other areas that could be going through something similar, but currently on the East Coast, there is a huge, um, it was a huge tropical storm Debbie that came through most of the eastern seaboard, um, and it just pummeled state after state with rain. And in the area I grew up, um, well, I'll just say my parents have evacuated due to the rain that is dispersed among that area. My dad said before he left, in a 24-hour span, they had almost 7 inches of rain. And they live close to a river. Um, and so it has begun to, um, all the water's starting to go into the river and cause the river to rise. It hasn't crested yet. It's not expected to crest till Wednesday. So I have a lot of family there, so that's where my mind's at. Okay, so I ask you to pray for them, and pray for that water to crest early and to stop, because my parents have lost their house twice and rebuilt. Um, I have friends and family who've had to do the same thing in the same area, but that's their home. So I ask you to pray for them. But I say that because this verse, in the times of troubles that we're dealing with on the eastern seaboard, and that my family's going through, this verse God gave me. And in this verse, they are celebrating the return of different tribes of Judah, Israelites, who had been banished by King Nebuchadnezzar. But he had passed, and these individuals, he had banished them to Babylon. Um, but he had passed. There was a new king, and they were coming back, and they were there to be registered, so the kingdom would know who's there. They had built walls, um, and now people were coming through the gates and being registered, so the kingdom would know who is actually there, and how many, and from what tribes. But then they were having the celebration, and the individuals who had come back were nervous, were worried. Some didn't have any food prepared. Some didn't have anything to their name because they had been banished and exiled, and you know were living a difficult life, um, being kicked out of your home that you're familiar with. But Nehemiah told them, said, "Go and celebrate. You know, eat, drink, be merry, bless others. Go out and bless. If somebody doesn't have anything, bless them." So this verse encompassed everything that's going through in my head today. The troubles that my family and friends down at the coast are going through. Um, the okay, I'm just going to say it. The lack of a border in this country, and just people flowing in, and a government that doesn't know who else come in or where they're at. Totally opposite to what Nehemiah was doing. Um, which today is concerning, that we don't know who's here, and what their intents are, what their intent is. Um, so anyway, so this is all stuff that's going through my head, but then it's like it was just laid into my spirit. Um, don't worry, give it to me, and if you give it to me, don't try to take it back. I am God, and I will handle it. Now, I'm not God. This is what I am getting. Okay, no, um, I'm a flawed Christian. I make mistakes. I have fits of carnality. I have to ask God for forgiveness every day. Um, and I'm not a priest, pastor, or any part of the hierarchy of a church. No. But what I do understand is that regardless of what we go through in life, the trials, the tribulations, the tests, um, all of it, that's what it is on a daily basis. And my friends and family are going through a test right now. And it's a difficult one because it truly tries your faith. Um, I've got a cousin who lives on the river. And so I've talked about them in the past. I'm not going to mention their name. Mm. But I get updates through Facebook of the pictures of what's going on with the river. Um, my mom and dad called me yesterday and told me they had evacuated. So in this time, I'm going to give it to God. And I hope each and every one of you who are going through these trials and tests right now will do the same thing. Trust in Him. But let's come together in one accord, believing that God's highest and best will prevail, and that He's there to protect us. He sends His angels to protect us, and we really need to pray for them, and that for each other, and that we would all trust God. We don't understand why, and one day we will. But what we really need to understand is that He's still seated on the throne, and Jesus is still at the right hand of the Father, making intercession for each and every one of us. So let's give it to God. Let's count it all joy and let's celebrate because this is the day the Lord has made and we will rejoice in it. Don't allow the trials and tests of life to, to steal the joy God has put inside you. Now, some are going to say that's easy to say, Rob, but it's difficult to do, and I understand that. The worry and stress about what my parents are going through, I see it, I feel it, but I have to give it over. Otherwise, it will consume me. And that I'm no different than anybody else right now. So, look, I think I've said enough. I'm going to tell you, give it to God, count it joy, count it all joy. Know that He's got your back. He always will. Don't move from that. Because the minute you try to take the will back from God, that's when things go wrong. So, folks, I thank you for watching. I pray it blesses you. And if it's your first time, welcome. Please go back and watch previous videos. I thank you for coming and watching. If this is not your first time, not your first rodeo, I thank you for coming back. And I ask you all to pray for my family, my friends, and everybody on the Eastern Seaboard that they'll all come through this. But most of all, remember to give any issues you've got to God. And as always, God has blessed you to be a blessing. So today, go out and bless somebody else because that is what truly helps change this world. Folks, I appreciate you. Apologize I went over. God bless you all. I'll see you on the next video. Y'all take care.